All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming. First of all, I wanna let you guys know what we're gonna do in this meeting. I think we wanna do a basic walkthrough on the two platforms. We wanna also see what's the future of these metaverses, right? Like, what's the use cases we can give to some of these? How can we also like transform some of these physical spaces and take them to the metaverse, right? And what does that mean as well? I think these are some of the things everyone is asking, and everyone is asking right now. And we have seen like press releases, we have seen like everything on the internet, but I think not many people have actually been into this platform. So I think what I want to do first is like dive you guys into what the Decentraland and what the Sandbox is, and just kind of like an overview. So the first things we want to see, right? So we have the Decentraland to be one of like the most known metaverses right now. We have some scarcity created. We have first of all we have like tokens, right? So we have like NFTs. We have different types of tokens. We have ERC 721. We have also ERC 20, and then the main token that is driving some of the economy, it's the mana token, right? We also have LAN, which is an actual NFT token, and we also have Wear, which are some of the wearable tokens that are used on the platform as well, right? So the plots of lands are 90,000, and if you compare them to the Sandbox, you can see it's just like half of them. So we have like 166 total plots of land in the Sandbox. And then we can see as well like some of the basics of like who is backing these projects as well. So in the case of the Decentraland, we can see in both there's like big companies, right? We have like FPG Capital, we have Samsung, Polygon, the South Korean government as well, Cyberpunk. And then on the Sandbox side, we see SoftBank, we see Uber and Slack to be some of like the first investors into the project. So yeah, we can see these are pretty heavily invested, right? So we can see also that the Decentraland is operated by a DAO. And what does this mean? I mean, when you're operated by a DAO, it means that essentially you don't have any CEO, you don't have anyone like taking decisions, but decisions of the platform are going to be taken by the community itself, right? So when you go on the actual page of the Decentraland, they have a DAO page, and it's a place where people who own the token and who own lands, they can start voting, or they can create essentially any kind of request, and depending on how many people vote, then decisions are taken, right? So this is a pretty new way of like leading a company or an organization, let's say. But in the case of the Sandbox, for now, it is operated by a centralized entity, right? So just to see some of what the platforms are, right? So the Decentraland was launched in 2017, so it's a pretty new platform. And then on the other side, Sandbox, it was created like a 2D really basic game in 2012, but they're in the gaming industry, so it's a bit different. Like their way and the way how they develop everything, it's completely different, right? So they're both on the Ethereum network. They're both trying to scale their transactions by implementing the Polygon blockchain as well. So they're both going the same route, right? We see a lot of similarities in this platform. We have the Decentraland, which is most known when you go around in the internet, and then we have Sandbox, which from my personal point of view, it's a more of like gaming platform, but also really potential, right? So the Decentraland right now, it's on a beta right now. And the Sandbox, we have seen two alphas. So for now, most of the game is not accessible. We can access to like 2 or 3 lands, and today we're gonna go through them as well to kind of like walk around the game and see what's going on in there. And if we had to compare, so Decentraland, well, the first thing we see when you see Decentraland is that it's an open source platform where essentially you can dive into it, you can change your land however you want, right? Like you can create UI interfaces, you can create experiences on lands, and you can definitely play to your own will when you have a land in there, right? Although there might be some skills that you might need, like programming skills, but I think it's a pretty good. We're gonna dive into it right now so you can see it. It's a bit see it a bit more visual, right? So yes, we have like also some of the features. We have the Decentraland about to implement like some experimental VR client, which from all of the research I have done, it's pretty hard to see a strong roadmap on the Decentraland, right? And that's because of like the way how they're getting operated by a DAO, right? They are announcing a mobile app, but there is no data specified. And then they do have their beta client ready, which we're gonna explore right now. So let's start with the Decentraland, right? So let's check this out. And guys, if you have any questions and if you I wanna make this a bit more interactive, right? So shoot me with any questions anytime, and we can see them while I go into it, right? So let's first go into the builder, right? So essentially, what is the builder? So the builder, it's the way the Decentraland, it's making the 3D creation and the land experiences more accessible to users, like meaning that you don't have to code and play everything with SDK. So you can easily go into the space and add assets as well. So right now we're gonna explore a test I was playing with, and right here, if we open the land, we're going to see, so it should be loading, right? But on the panel on this side, what we're gonna see, we're going to see asset packs. Some of them might belong from the marketplace, and some others you might be able to upload yourself. So I have uploaded some of them, and right here what we can see, it's a commercial office we were doing some tests with. So this is actually how the builder is looking, right? So what we can actually do is that you can easily come into the space and move things around, or you can load an architecture only building and then put things all over the place and bring interactive assets as well, like some of the ones they provide in the Decentraland, right? So we have ambient sound, as you can see, we have click areas. We can take people to different URLs, we can take them to websites. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can take advantage from here. We have trigger areas, toolbox, teleport. So, I mean, we can play with that right now just to see, and then we can load these into into the SDK, and then we can see how it looks, right? Before we go and jump into the Decentraland. So, I mean, we don't have much time, but I'm gonna just like do something quickly. Yep. Hello? Hello guys, hello everyone. I think I didn't have any time to say hi to everyone. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. Means a lot that you're here. And if you have any questions, just shoot me over anytime, and we can answer. All right, guys. So let me see, what can we do? I mean, I'm just gonna do random stuff, right? I'm just gonna place things all over the place just for the sake of this experiment. And let me see. Yeah, we got some trees. Can we find some? So we got a mix table. All right, let's just place it here. So we'll have to also like play with the sizing. I think sizing is one of the things that you have to make sure it's right. And they do offer, when you enter the builder, they do offer like ways for you to, like resize things. And yeah, but let's deploy this and let's test it out, right? So what you can do, it's if you go, one second, let me see. Okay, right here. We're gonna download this scene, right? So going back to the presentation, right, I'm gonna go into the SDK right now, but I wanted to show you something, right? So when we talk about the metaverse, we have three types of users. In this case, we can see that we have owners, we have players, and then we have game creators, right? So a player can be an owner, but also it can be a game creator, right? When you're an owner, you have something called a LAN, and that's actually tied to the blockchain, right? You can create experiences on that LAN, and those can be events, giveaways, showrooms. It can be any kind of experiences that you can program, and then essentially you get players in there, right? So this is like a basic diagram that I really like, just to see like who is like the actual like who is creating, who are the players, who are the owners, how they interact with each other. And just before explaining this, I wanted to tell you that as an owner, you can have a LAN, you can create an experience, but you can take that experience and you can put it into your own LAN. But another thing you could do is that you can deploy that into the marketplace, right? For example, I create an experience in here, I can deploy that into the marketplace, and then I can sell that, right? So maybe another LAN owner can get that experience and use it for any other purpose, right? So that's another possibility we have. So I just wanted to explain that quickly. And now we're going to test this. Hold on. So by comparing Decentraland with Sandbox, I think Decentraland, it's a pretty open platform, but you do have to do some technical things in order for you to develop in here, right? So once I download the asset, I have to actually open the SDK. You have to load it into your computer, and then we'll have to go to the actual folder, right? I think it should be here, yeah. All right. All right, and then right here, what we can see in some of the documentations from the Decentraland, we can see the SDK 101. We can see some of the main commands that you have to use to create your first scene and deploy it, see it. Then everything you're seeing in the builder, you can actually do it within the SDK, right? But then you'll have to know programming. So in my case, I'm not a programmer, but I can at least like get some of the basics, right? So what we have to do, right, just in order for us to see this scene, we just have to put DCL and then start, and then we should be able to load the scene. SDK not found. Okay, so we have to install. Yeah, it's installing everything right there. Okay.
Bueno, después te voy a ayudar a hacer estas cuentas de cómo dividir uno. De qué me iba a mandar este Google.
All right, guys. So here it is, right? So we're loading the scene, and then we're able to see everything we made in the build, right? So for now, we got a really simple office space. We don't have a lot of interactions, but I think this can just like prove the idea of how to do it, right? Here you go. So as you can see, I placed the office a bit elevated, right? Like it's not in the ground floor, and that's some of the issues that you can encounter with the builder, right? Also, sizing is not right, so we're gonna have to play with that, right? But that's something you can also play around with once you have the SDK, right? So once you have the SDK, then you can read some of the documentation and then get to, like change anything in your scene and then deploy it and actually send it to your LAN, right? So let's walk around here just quickly to see the place. So another thing is that we're gonna have to set bounding boxes, right? So we'll have to create what actually blocks you from going through the walls, right? And that's something that you might have to like go into the SDK and basically code and get it right. In contrast, like if you see what Sandbox has actually made, then it's actually the opposite, right? Like they have made it really accessible. Hello? And guys, if you have any questions, just shoot me, right? Because I hear some voices. Hello? So if you guys have any questions, just shoot me over anytime. For now, okay. So next things, let's see some of the Figma, right? So we do have to check Sandbox right now and see some of like the possibilities in there. I'm gonna open it right now and do kind of like a comparison in between them. Yeah, so this is the Sandbox. I actually logged in. You have to use like your Web3 wallet to get in here. If we go in about, let's read a bit about it. So Sandbox is a community-driven platform where creators can monetize voxel assets and gaming experiences on the blockchain, right? So we're seeing that this is a gaming platform. They're creating really accessible tools to create gaming experiences into lands that are on blockchain NFTs, right? So they created, so they have like Vox Edit right now that you can download and you can play with it. You can take any models in there, you can compare to voxels, you can create anything from scratch as well. And then we also have the marketplace, where is the place where people transact, right? So let's check it out. Oh my God, there you go. So in the marketplace, we can see assets, but we can also see lands, right? So for now, I'm just like seeing some of the assets. We can see the actual USD prices and the price in SAN. You can buy anything from here and then just get it to your own land as well. And then, so the Vox Edit, it's a software that you have to download to create voxel art. Once you download the Vox Edit, what you can do is like Sandbox has established essentially a way for you to be a creator. And then once you get verified as a creator, you can do anything in here and then just mint straight to the marketplace, right? So you can put anything in the marketplace and then get an income from creating, and then you have people buying assets, right? You also have, as Decentraland, we have the game maker, where it's a software like now comparing it with the SDK from Decentraland, you have a software where you can create the gaming experiences, right? So for now, I think it's a bit early. So we're seeing that some of the initial tools they developed, they're in their first stage. But we're gonna jump into the alpha to definitely check it out. We can see some of the partners. This is pretty well backed up, right? So we have Snoop Dogg, The Walking Dead, Adidas, the Smurfs, deadmau5, Atari. We have really SoftBank, Samsung, Next, Polygon Studios. So it's pretty well backed, right? But yeah, let's let's check it out, right? Oh, before we open it, right? So we can see the map as well. So this is what the map is looking like, right? So we have limited lands. We're seeing that that's the total availability of lands. So we can see the scarcity in there, and then we can see some names, right? So this is all public land, so you can access to any of these lands once the game is open and it's out of alpha. But you can see some of the big names, right? So we have really massive names all around the place. We have Atari, so that's Snoop Dogg's house that we have seen like all over the internet and press releases and all that. Steve Aoki, we have as well. Let me see what other names can we see here. Yeah, I mean there is a lot of companies and there is a lot of people like buying lands, right? So we can see also like some of the ones that are for sale, right? So if you check in here on OpenSea, you can see the ones that you can actually track and buy right now on OpenSea, and then you can see the prices, right? So yeah, we're looking at like 30 Ethereum. I think the floor price it's around like 3 Ethereums, which would be equal to like $9,000 more or less. So we're talking that this is an expensive land, right? But also we're seeing that it's scarce, right? Like there is a finite amount of lands, right? So that's also another thing to play, right? So if this goes well and the project keeps growing in the future and we see more people investing and then we see also all the utility it has, then this is for sure an asset that is going to appreciate in the future, right? So for now, if we go on the home and then we click play, we might not be able to see all the map because for now it's closed, right? So that's the full map, but the only area that it's open for the alpha is this, right? So this was launched last year, right? So it's pretty new. They're developing through the way. So we can access the alpha lobby for now, just to walk you around the place, right? There you go. Can you guys see my screen? Everything is looking good?
Looking good.
Awesome, guys. Great. So I also did a comparison. We're gonna have to see what are the sizes of land, right? I think the floor price, I think the Decentraland's land, they're a bit more expensive than Sandbox, if I'm not wrong. But the sizes are completely different, right? So one of the challenges that people in the Decentraland they have is that lands are so small that the only way to build is to build up. So they're kind of like they're going through kind of like it's like New York, right? Like the only thing to grow and to scale it up and to build is by actually going up, right? Whether like if we see now some of the lands and spaces from the Sandbox, I think they're like 5 or 6 times bigger. So maybe that can leave a lot of room to create different experiences for sure. So we're seeing a game, right? Like this is like if anyone has played Minecraft, I think this is pretty close to it. I'm just gonna walk you around and take you through the place. Essentially, if you press N, you should be able to see some of your NFTs and these assets as well. These are all tracing and taking you to an actual marketplace where you can essentially buy them with the sand coin, right? So this is kind of like a showroom where you can see some like NFTs as well. You can also see them in the marketplace. If you click in here, it's gonna take you to the marketplace of Sandbox, and then I think OpenSea as well, right? So I'm just gonna keep walking and showing you the place around. if you see some of these blue light portals, these should be portals that take you to the actual places. But unfortunately, we cannot get in, right? So we're still on an alpha. So I think hopefully they will open at some point. So we got Snoop Dogg House in here. We have as well Atari. We have I think this is the XYC Club, if I'm not wrong, which have seen in I've seen in some videos as well. So there is a club where they're hosting events, and they have like actual DJs in there, famous DJs who are like going into into party, and they're going into a digital land to basically host an event, right? So once you're an owner of a land, and you can use the game creator to basically build your own experience, right? So you can charge for that experience, right? I think in the case of Sandbox, we haven't seen a lot, as it is really new. But what we see from it, I think it's pretty promising, right? So here it is, guys. So this is Sandbox. I'm not gonna keep walking through here because I want to show you some other things. But yeah, but this is essentially what the platform looks like. So we see a pretty voxel gaming experience with Sandbox. With Decentraland, I think we see a different kind of graphics. If we have to compare it like graphically, we have Sandbox on one side being a voxel 3D graphic, and then on the other side, what we have, it's a low poly, right? So when you see the Decentraland, essentially it's a normal 3D asset that you're actually taking the amount of like vertex and putting it into a place where it's like smooth and really easy to load for browsers, and also for any computer, right? So that's one of the main differences graphically, right? I'm gonna actually walk you on the Decentraland as well, but before that, let me see. So I wrote some things here, right? So checking on the Decentraland, right? Like, due to the DAO structure, decision making can be slow. When you write a proposal to change anything, you need a certain amount of votes for those changes to be made, right? I think one of the main disadvantages, besides that one, it's also that when you walk in the place, buildings actually disappear. And then in Sandbox, we have only seen an alpha version, right? I think it's a pretty promising project. And it has a really solid roadmap, right? So I think it's asking me to update, I think. Let me see. But I'm gonna get right now to the Decentraland and show you the place around. Okay, I'm gonna play as a guest for now. Okay, here we are. So this is Genesis Plaza, which is, I think, it's the main place where everyone shows up. So that's why we can find it a bit laggy. I'm just gonna go away from here. 1 second. Let me just take the volume down for 1 second. All right, so here we are. Okay. All right. So let's jump into places, right? So seeing the map, when we see the map of the Decentraland, we see something really similar. So the Decentraland has half of the lands available as Sandbox, right? So Sandbox has like 160,000, more or less, and then we have the Decentraland having 90,000 lands, right? So we have parcels and we have states as well. If you see one small square, that's an actual parcel. And when you go in OpenSea and you see some of the prices, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So that's the actual price of one parcel, right? I want to walk you through an experience in Decentraland so we can see some of like utility and how people are using it to create experiences and actually monetize as well, right? I think that's what everyone wants to see. So let me see, where should I go? So places, I know we have like the Samsung building. We also have the Absolute. We also have like a poker place as well that we can jump into. Let's jump into the Samsung because I think it's a cool space. So here we are. Apparently these are the headquarters of Samsung in the metaverse, right? And yeah, we have a really different, really creative place inside the building. But at least we can see what they're doing, right? So we have wearables, right? So these are actual wearables that you can buy, right? So these are available in the marketplace. They're created by Samsung as well, and it's a collection that Samsung developed for the Decentraland, right? So let me see. We're gonna jump. Is this a portal? No. But yeah, I think the building has a bit more. So let me, from here. And yeah, so this is actual people. You can talk to them, you can chat to them, you can see their profile, you can see also their collectibles. Over here, you're gonna be able to see what they hold in wearables. Also, NFTs. And then you have like the passport. Let me take you to another place here. Let me see. Okay, I think there's nothing right here. All right, guys, let's maybe take it to another place. So we got the Absolute Land. There is 12 people in there. We can jump in. Yeah, for sure. Let's go. And let's check it out. Oops. I'm just putting a random day for now just to get in. So here we are. We see the house rules. So we see that Absolute has their own land. They're setting up their own UI interfaces, their own rules. They're setting up the age, the pop-up that where you have to like add your age to get in and all of that. So these are pretty customizable experiences, right? You can definitely play with them around and you can change them to be whatever you want. And I think that's one of the strongest points that we can see from the Decentraland, right? Like you can get into the SDK, you can create interfaces, you can create any utility and functionality, and then tie those to the lands, right? I think that's pretty useful, right? Like the opportunity to create anything. It's there's so many opportunities, right? It's the first time I'm here, but I don't know what. Teleport to Coachella. Right, I found the hidden Coachella teleporter. Okay, so they're using it to take you to an actual external website, right? So I think this is the basic use that we can see from some of these platforms, but it's pretty useful, right? We're talking that there is a really big amount of users walking through this platform, walking through the Decentraland. We're talking about public spaces as well, and we're talking that anyone can visit your land and anyone can be there, right? So there is opportunities for publicity, for ads, for showing your work, for putting yourself out there, right? And then taking you to an external place, taking you to buy something, taking you to essentially anywhere, right? So I think this is a pretty good bridge for marketing as well. This contest is currently closed. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, but well, we can see at least like some of the uses they're doing in here, which I think they can be a bit more complex than actually taking you to an external website. But we still see the utility, right? What is this? And guys, do you have any questions? Is there anything you want to see from these platforms, or is there anything that you have like you're questioning, or you think like any possibilities, or how can you get in here and what can you do in these places? If you guys have any questions, yeah, feel free. Feel free to make this a conversation. So just to put it in, yeah, there is actually not much here to be honest. Just to put it in perspective, right? So I want to show you, how do I get out from here? I want to show you the sizes of land, right? So you can actually see, oh my God. So if you see in the left hand side, if you see the map, you can see what the actual square of a parcel looks like, and I think that's pretty important, right? So when we see the parcel, I mean we're seeing two parcels, right? Like this building is actually, let me see, yeah, this building is like roughly, yeah, two or three parcels. So we're talking that a parcel it's like a pretty small space, right? So if you buy anything into here, you will have to consider that if you want to decide if you want to build anything, then it might have to go up, right? And that was some of the issues that the Decentraland had some time ago. I think parcels were 10 by 10, and now they actually changed them to like 16 by 16, leaving the same amount of lands, of course, but changing the size of them because they also saw that it was a bit difficult with the prices out there to buy a land and to build something in a really small space, right? So that's a pretty important thing to see from here, right? So same as this one, right? So I think this whole square, this building is just one land, right? So up until here. So that's where it finishes, right? So that's one building, and then the rest it's just like another land. So this is another parcel as well, right? This whole square, that's a parcel. So that's the actual size that you have. And if we compare it with Sandbox, so this is a quick comparison I did, right? I put everything into the right size so we can see some of the differences, right? So that's one parcel in the Decentraland, that's the actual size, 16 by 16, and then we have 96 by 96 in Sandbox, right? So I think if you buy a land, what does it mean for a land owner, right? Like meaning that if you want to build anything, if you want to create anything into these lands, then you might have to consider there is a massive difference in what an actual land is in these two platforms, right? I can see in Sandbox, yeah, for sure you can create something a bit bigger, and then in the Decentraland you'll have to take a building, or you have to take something to build up for sure. But yeah, this is something important to see as well. And guys, is there something you would like to see from any of the platforms? Is there any questions that you guys have from Sandbox or from the Decentraland? Is there anything that you guys are questioning right now?
Is how are these can you tell us how these are different from spatial?
Yes, that's a really good question. And even though we didn't we didn't write a spatial in this comparison, right? We can open it up quickly and then see some of the main differences, right? So when we see the platform spatial is, what we can see is that they're building spaces where people can be, but there is a massive limitation, right? When you compare the Decentraland to what actually spatial is, when you share a space in spatial, it is actually a private link, right? So we have a different distribution, right? We're saying that you can only be in someone's land if you have a link. And if we compare it with Decentraland, we do have a public map, and then Sandbox as well, right? So if we see some of these maps, right, we do have limited lands, and people can freely walk around the place, right? So this is a public space. And when you compare it with spatial, you don't have any public space to jump in. Well, there's some like 4 or 5 public spaces, but these belong to spatial. But then essentially, if you create anything in spatial, it will be only for yourself or for whoever you send the link to, right? And then here, what we see is that we have a public land that anyone can move around the place and can be into any public land. This is massive. This is massive if you think about it, right? If you have like only 160,000 lands, and then some of these massive companies are buying like 50 or 60 lands altogether and converting them into states, right? Which are that's how they're called in Sandbox. That means that there's not much lands for everyone, right? So we have the scarcity element playing here, which we don't have in spatial, right? Spatial, we can jump into any space. By the way, we can jump into the IP headquarters right now. If anyone wants to check it out, we can send the link for sure in the Discord community. But yeah, I think these are some of the main differences. What was that clear? Or
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Guys, do you have any other questions? You guys have anything you wanna ask? Okay, and just before we close, right? So some of you might know what this is, right? And this is something that is gonna be a big part of what the metaverse conversation it's going into the future, right? So we have a product that is converting point clouds to BIM, and then some of the output. Well, one of the output formats that we have for BIMing, it's an actual GLTF and prepare files, ready files for the metaverse, right? And what does that mean? I think that means a lot, right? Like that means that you can actually use some of these files for documentation, right? You can use the BIMs, you can use some of the plans for anything you're using, but you can also get a GLTF or ready file for the metaverse, and you can take them into any of these lands, meaning that you can create experiences and sell those to landowners, or you can just buy a land and create your own experience in there with your actual space. And I think this is a big conversation. I think there is a lot of potential in the upcoming years for what the metaverse industry is looking like. But this is the very beginning, and I think the two we're putting together and what we're achieving with BIM and the ready metaverse file, it's huge as well, right? So guys, if you have any other questions, if you wanna know anything else, let me know. I think we can maybe do a community meetup in some of these platforms. I think today was touching a bit of like an overview. I think there is a lot to dive into some of the technicals and each of these platforms, how do they work, what does it mean, And I think we can do that as well. We can keep this conversation going. If you guys feel like you can join us into a meetup into one of these lands or public spaces or even spatial as well, we will set that up, right? So we can meet up and talk about everything regarding like metaverse and what it means for the AEC industry as well. Yeah, and for everyone, I think. So yeah, this is huge. And yeah, I will basically, yeah, I'll ask another time if you guys have any other questions, and then I think we can wrap this up. But yeah, for the ones who stay, thank you so much for listening in, and yeah, this was really great. And yeah, do you guys have any questions? Let me see what we have here. We have Austin. Francois, oh, you made it. Thank you so much for coming, Francois. I know it's late for you in South Africa, right? And yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining. And let's make this a recurrent thing. We can meet in spatial and keep this going. Thank you so much for joining. And yeah, let's wrap this up. All right, guys, I'm gonna stop sharing here. See you guys. Thank you.